Hey, what's up my Dragon Legion? How y'all been? Solo Dragoons. Today we're going to be doing a CardFight Vanguard tech profile today. It's been quite some time since we've done that much CardFight Vanguard content on this channel here, and I do apologize. Just a lot of things kept on coming up. Just a lot of things kept on stopping me from doing that much Vanguard content. As you all know, this channel is a Yu-Gi-Oh! First channel before we move on to CardFight Vanguard, and since things are starting to slow down at least a little bit what's going on to the Yu-Gi-Oh! Side of the channel for a little bit, I'm able to showcase you all my Vanguard content all that such, and do not worry, I've not been just lagging as Vanguard as you all may think I've been doing. I've been keeping up with what's going on meta. I've been keeping up with what my decks need all that such, and yeah. So without further ado, I'll showcase you all what this build right here. The last time I've done a profile on the X build right here, the last time I showed you all, it was more of an X Legend build, which is a good build in general. However, I wasn't always the biggest fan of how the Legend and the X didn't always coexist and wasn't always coherent with me here and there. So I ended up going back to the roots of going back to pure the X, and the pure the X I really like that over the X Legend because you're able to get your strike plates off just fine. At the same time, you're able to recruit back to your stuff from drop zone back to your deck, which is what the important goals of the X is supposed to be. And this build right here, in my opinion, is a lot more functional build than a previous build of the Legend build before. And I've been able to get my recruiting back going. I've been still be able to get my power plays going, and I still get my heavy retirement and even my control plays going in general. So I prefer this build right here over the Legend build. And yeah, I'll be explaining my choices of what I'm currently doing, just so y'all can get a better understanding of what I'm currently doing here and there. As always, for those of you all who are just here, just net deck, I did leave the deck list in the description down below for those of you all who are just here net deck. I only ask you drop a like on your way out. It means a lot to me. It's very appreciative. And with that being said, let's move on straight into the profile, shall we, Dragoons? Alright, start off with your starting Vanguard. We're still playing your one Legend Soldier Fargo. I have been messing around with some other choices of starters, but I really like Fargo really right now in general here. Just the fact that you can go in your Vanguard soul for free is still very nicely, and he also gives your Vanguard the ability of every time your Vanguard attack is on hit, you can retire one. Doesn't matter where it is, doesn't matter what grade it is, just as long as your attack is a hit, you can retire one for free. And what's really nice about here is, as we know, Overlord based decks normally have abilities where you restand quite a bit. So there are plays where you can potentially go off of Fargo more than twice. And having an ability like that is just very powerful, very handy dandy. And with your Legion mechanic you're using with this deck right here, you can put them back into your deck, redraw them back into your hand, and when that happens, you can use him as an extra 10k shield to block off some attacks a little bit more, or just call him to rearguard circle and just reuse his retirement ability all over again, which is a very heavy duty build in general. So yeah, the one Fargo, it's still good. And next up, the trigger lineup. For the triggers, we have the 4 heals. No explanation needed why the heals are important, especially with G-Guardians now a thing. Heals are always very important. And yes, we are still playing the 8 crits still, and the 4 draw right here. I don't really see this lineup really changing really too much at all. I might try out my theory, as I said before, cut out the 2 heals or all heals and put in more crits. I might try that out, but for right now, the moment, this is a more comfortable ratio than most of my other ratios I've been doing in the past. This allows me to be heavy aggressive, and with the 16 strides, the thing, as I said before, you want to be as aggressive as much as you possibly can. You want to hit those big numbers and hit those big hits as fast as you can. You want to stop your opponent from standing right back up as soon as possible. And you want to be able to go in at heavy damage, and go in with those heavy crit, and go in for the game as fast as you can. So this will still be on defensive and be able to draw into where you really need to draw into most. And also another good thing that's good with the draw lineup is that you're able to play 4 Gatling Claw Dragons, which allows you to counterblast 1, put them Solar Vanguard, which is always good, and then you can retire your opponent's Foreigner, which is a very nice ability in general. And since you are going to be doing abilities that allows you to Soul Blast, this going back to the deck, or I'm sorry, not deck, this going to Solar Vanguard will give you more options of cards, to Soul Blast for, so you can do some more Soul Blast abilities. Which of course is always very nice for this deck right here. And that is it for the grade trigger lineup. For the grade 1s, we are still playing the 4 Protect Orb Dragons. I still like Protect Orb Dragons until this day. There are a lot of good options for for Perfect Guards for Kagero in general, but I really like Protect Orb Dragon because I really like the ability to unflip damage, and he's just really nice in general when he does that. And Perfect Guarding it then give you the unflip damage while you have another 1-drop zone is still a very helpful ability even in today's game. And then next up, we play 4 copies of your instant strides because instant striding is very important, especially now. Since you're not playing certain card in particular, striding has become a lot more important, and this will make your stride plays a lot more easier as well, of course. Next up, of course, we play 4 copies of Lizard General Conroe. Really good card in general. He's called Rearguard Circle, reveal a grade 3, search your deck for any overlords from deck to your hand, and then after you do that, just pitch 1 card and that's it. Also, you can retire this guy to give your overlord the ability of whenever it swings, you can unflip 2 damage, which is a very nice ability in general. And yeah, this gives you more options of doing some more counterblasting. This gives you more counterblast options. This allows you to search out the right overlord you need. So for example, say things don't go your way, you have the N overlord instead of the X. You can reveal the X the end of your opponent, and you can get your X for your deck to your hand, and then you can either pitch the N, or if you want to, you can pitch like an extra card, let's say like an extra draw trigger or whatever such, and you should be good from there and such. And then lastly, for the grade 2s, we have 2 copies of Calamity Tower Wyverns. This card is starting to see a lot more play in this deck right here. Such it's just an ability where you can Soul Blast 2, draw 1. It's still a nice ability in general. Gives you more draw power, and also, since you are playing Legion, this does give you options of cards to potentially put back in your deck when you go off your Legion, which is still a good card in general, I must say. And that right there was the grade 1 lineup. Now for the grade 2s. For the grade 2s, we have, of course, the 4 Dragonic Burnouts. This is never going to change unless Bushiroad says so otherwise. When it's called Rearguard Circle, for a mere cost, Soul Blast of 1 card. Not only you can take an Overlord from Joust Zone to bottom of your deck, but you can retire any Rearguard, which is a very huge ability. It picks all those annoying Rearguards you don't want to deal with. It picks all that one Rearguard you don't want your opponent to have, while also it gives you the ability to get back one of your Overlords, back from Drop Zone, to bomb your deck, and then you have more Overlords to recycle, do stuff with, or such. And this is where things get just a little bit weird for this deck right here. For everything else, even though we're not playing Legend no more, we are playing 4 copies of Emperor Dragon Knight Nahalem. Now, I know a lot of people are thinking, Christian, why are you playing this card even though you're not playing Legend no more? Well, keep in mind, just because you're not playing Legend no more doesn't mean this card is obsolete, especially considering the fact that this deck is still an Overlord-based deck. For instance, even if you attack with, let's say, Overlord The End or Overlord The X instead of your Bear Strides, this card is still at least 11k 100, which is still not bad. But keep in mind, this deck is going to be a little bit more stride focused now, and you really only need just to win 5,000. All you really need, get that extra power you need to hit that heavy board presence. And normally, when you do need the extra 5,000, you just go for the ace alone. And normally a well-placed ace is all you really need, or a well-placed Nouvelle is all you really need in order to go for game. And once you get that going, even if you don't win, once you get your stride or Nahalem with 1,600 at least, swinging your opponent, your opponent is still going to use up some very important resources just to block off your attack, and you should be still pretty well set regardless. And then everything else is just the 3 Twilight Arrow Dragons, just so you can counterblast 2 while he's attacking being boosted. You can retire any grade 2 less rear guard. Just like Burnout, it just gives you more options of cards to retire more cards. But what's really nice about Twilight Arrow Dragon is that I can constantly keep on using ability all over again and again and again. So while he's still in Rearguard Circle, if he's not been retired, if I have him again, I can use ability all over again. Now, only 3 of them is really necessary because he is kind of counterblast reliant in order for his ability to go off, which is not a bad thing, but it's not always something you really always want to do when you're playing this deck right here. So for right now, at the moment, only the 3 Twilight Arrow Dragons is all you really need. And that right there was the grade 2s. Now for the grade 3s. For the grade 3s, of course, the heart and soul of your deck right here. 4 copies of Dragonic Overlord The X. I think we all know what he does right here. Legion 22, his mate is Dragonic Overlord The End. And Dragonic Overlord The End, when you first Legion, get 1 or him copies of deck to your hand. And also when his attack is not hit, counterblast 1 and Persona Flip him to retire 2 rear guards. And this is a heavy duty card on its own, because this allows you to get some recycling. This gives you opportunities for do some more heavy retirement, and this gives you some interesting options depending on the situation. You can, if you have like 3 cards face up in damage, if you swing with Overlord, this card while he's in Legion, you can use the End ability, we stand back up, and then when he attacks, your opponent blocks this time. Your opponent will underestimate and forget about his Persona Blast ability, and you can just retire 2. And having that ability is definitely very helpful, because just in case if your plans don't go your way, you do have options where you can retire rear guards, and that's a lot of things that people will actually forget about the X. The X does have heavy retirement plays. He does have heavy board control plays. He does allow you to get some heavy, while also giving you some nice recycling plays. And that's one of the main things people will actually forget about the X. And the X is still a bit heavy duty card, even in today's game. And finally, of course, can't play the X without, of course, playing 4 copies of the mate. 4 copies of Dragonic Overlord The End. Mostly therefore, because obviously therefore being the mate of your X. But having that early The End as your Vanguard is not always as terrible as people like to say. First of all, it does allow you, give you some early pressure. Second, if you do go off with a Persona Blast very quickly with this guy's ability, it gives you an extra target for your Burnout or your Defeat Flare Dragon, which we'll get to very shortly, or out of the bat without having to wait some turns later on and such. And 3, this, as I said earlier, today's game of Vanguard is more reliant on stride than everything else. So as long as you're riding, so even if you're riding to him, as long as you're still able to at least stride, you're still good. Even especially at least until you can do X regardless. So 4 Ns and 4 Xs are still very good, even regardless, even in today's game, at least in my standards. And that right there was the main deck. Now for the strides. We have 2 copies of Vortex Desire here. Nothing really too special. Persona flip any 1 card, and then when his ability is on, and then when his attack is on hit, you can retire two Flame Dragons. And what's really nice about this card right here is that if your Vanguard is in Legion while you're doing this, you can retire 3 rear guards, which is something that a lot of people will actually forget about that. And I have actually pulled that off a couple times. And having that ability where you can retire 3 opponents' rear guards with no counter blasting, no soul blasting, no Persona Blast or anything such, just flip a copy of him, and he'll get the ability of when he's on hit. And when his ability is on hit, you can retire 3 rear guards for free, or practically for free, as long as your Vanguard was in Legion while you're striding to this guy at least. But if you don't stride, or not stride, if you don't Legion, he still is on hit 2 retire, which is still pretty good on its own. But if you can get the on hit 3, he becomes a major huge threat to your opponent right off the bat. And then, of course, we have 4 copies of Dragonic Overlord The X. Your go-to guy that you always want to stride into the most. He's a double attack twicer, and he just adds some huge field presence to your opponent. And he's definitely very great if your opponent has no rear guards and they're being over cautious and they want not call their rear guards. No problem. This gives you the opportunity to either go into Legion or stride into this card. And when you stride into this card, your opponent is just going to have a very bad day, and they will not know what to do with this card occasionally, because even if they do survive, by then your opponent will have to use up a very good portion of resources just to block out this guy's double attack, and you'll be able to establish a good board or good field presence where your opponent is not going to have a hard time striking back. And for your opponent, for when they do overstrike you, you have this guy ready for that as well. And that's 4 copies. Dragonic Blademaster Taiten. This dude is just a heavy-duty, aggressive dude right here. Persona Flip and Counterblast 1, I believe. Is it Counterblast 1? Yes, Counterblast 1. Counterblast 1 and Persona Flip 1. Or actually, it's not even Persona Flip. Just flip any card face down in your G zone, turn it face up, and then for every copy of him face up in your G zone, you can retire 1 rear guard, and he'll get the ability of Blaze. While his unit is in Blaze, he'll gain an extra critical, so he becomes a 26 with two crits. And with this deck right here, it is very easy to get your Blaze going, especially when you get some combos going with him. You get some combos going on with your Twilight Arrow Dragon and your Dragonic Burnout, and all those get good occasions and such. Without long, this guy will get his extra critical, no problem, and he'll be another card that'll help you get some field presence going on. Such he's definitely very great when your opponent doesn't have any cards in their hand, or not too many cards in their hand. And while this card is being boosted as well, your opponent is just going to have a very bad day guarding all of his cards attack. And yeah, he is just a force to be reckoned with if he's underestimated. And one of the good cards to stride for game, we have we have 2 copies of Nouvelle. Only 2 is really necessary because usually most of your other strides pretty much have everything else taken care of. But just in case things do not go your way, you have the Nouvelle just in case. This allows you to pretty much guarantee push for game or such. If you know by fact your opponent has like a perfect guard and they have no other resources to guard off your attack and such, you can just pretty much go straight into Nouvelle, and Nouvelle will pretty much just say, no perfect guard for you. And if you're at 5 damage and this card's attack lands a hit, guess what? You're gonna lose no matter what. And this is pretty much a game breaker on its own, especially when your opponent is unable to guard. So for another moment, only 2 Nouvelles is really necessary. And then of course the G Guardians. For the G Guardians, we have 3 defeat. I'm sorry, not Denial Griffins. 3 Denial Griffins. This card is just really nice right here. Slows down those annoying big rear guards you don't want to deal with here and there. And finally, the 1 copy of Defeat Flare Dragon. This card is just a very helpful card, not by a mere count blast of 1 card. As long as your Vanguard, as long as your Vanguard is being attacked by your opponent's Vanguard, and your Vanguard's of course Overlord, and these called the Guardian Circle, by mere cost of count blast of 1 card, not only you can take 2 Overlords or in drop zone and put them bottom of your deck, but also you can retire your opponent's entire back row. This is another card that helps you slow down those heavy aggressive decks. This allows you to get some recycling going, and this allows you to get some nice powerful defense and offense going, all out at the same time while you're trying to guard out your opponent's attacks as best you possibly can. And this card is so good, I've even thought about putting in 1 more copy of this card right here, and maybe take out a card of Denial Griffin, just so I can have an extra copy of Defeat Flare Dragon, because Defeat Flare Dragon is just a heavy-duty aggressive card where you can defend off some important big attacks while still get some important recycling that's going on at the same time. And yeah, Dragoons, that right there was my Kagero The X deck profile for October 2016. It has gone through a couple changes, and I am liking these changes just a little bit more than I did when it came down to when it came down to mixing the X with the Legend. Like, it was a good build, and I did enjoy it. But to be more honest, I more preferred the Pure X, because the Pure X allows you to get your job done a little bit more effective, a little more efficient than the mixture did, in my opinion did. And while we're talking about me coming back and me bringing out some more Vanguard content, here's some things to expect what to happen very shortly on this channel right here. I'm going to be doing a Blademaster deck profile soon. I'm going to be doing a Vanquisher deck profile very soon. A updated Eradicator deck profile as soon as the Dragonic Descendant, the new one, Stride version comes. I'm going to be doing an update on my Seal Dragons. I'm going to be updating on my Brawlers. Vanquisher, not Vanquisher, what was it? Well, yeah, Vanquisher too, but I was going to say Dragonic Kaiser, of course, and other versions of Overlord, of course, for those of you who are interested in all those. If any of you guys are interested in that kind of stuff, hit me up in the comments down below, and I'll get to them as soon as I possibly can. And with that being said, let me know what Dragoons think about this deck profile in the comment section down below, and I will see you Dragoons around. Hope you Dragoons enjoyed this video. Please leave a like and a favorite if you did, and share this video to other people. It really helps me out a lot. Follow me on Facebook and Twitter. Keep up latest updates about myself, this channel, and my upcoming gaming channel. And subscribe today to become part of the Dragon Legion Alliance. And I'll see you Dragoons another day. Christian Dragoon, signing out. Peace.